So welcome everybody. Again, I am Lee Kessler from CharityEngine. I'm the Vice President of Communications, and I'm joined today by Andrew Kayton, Director of Donations at Fisher House Foundation. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yep, my pleasure.
Andrew is a very experienced CharityEngine user. Fisher House Foundation has been using CharityEngine since
middle of 2015.
Middle of 2015, gotcha. So you're an experienced user, and I have to start with this quick anecdote. One of the great things about working with a platform like CharityEngine, where everything is integrated and there's a lot of features and functionality built in that you can acquire over time, is I recall the first time we ever showed you opportunities, and you came in for training, and we had like an hour scheduled for training, and in about 5 minutes you're like, okay, I get it. Because you had such familiarity with the rest of the platform that picking up something like opportunities was very natural.
Absolutely.
And so I asked Andrew to join us. He's been really utilizing this tool for a while, and it's really solved some problems for him. So that's what today's presentation is going to be about, is really focused on Fisher House and how Andrew has created a process for managing major gifts and major gift opportunities. And so what we've done is we're going to be showing you pieces within CharityEngine in the demo account, but I've actually completely copied everything related to Andrew's background. We didn't want to show you obviously what was in Fisher House's instance. Probably not fair, and I don't think you guys would want us to do that with you. But so I listed everything, and what we're going to be looking at is an exact replication of the way that Andrew is doing it, and we'll look at one particular thing. Opportunities. Opportunities in CharityEngine is the same thing as moves management, often referred to in other products as moves management. And this is what allows you to track major gifts, corporate gifts, grants, and really develop a process, and more importantly, a way of reporting on where you are at various stages. So that way, anyone in your organization who's got permission to be part of opportunities can look and see where you are where you are at different stages, and see any relevant information. What kind of email communications you've had, what kind of phone call communications, letters that have been sent, and so we'll see how that works in this case. So Andrew, you are a little bit of a unique case in that a lot of people who would be looking at moves management are actually starting with prospecting. That isn't a problem you really needed to solve.
Yeah, no, I mean, for us, searching out, buying a list and trying to incorporate new donors was not what I was looking to solve. I have enough people coming to us just, based on reputation, based on our ratings, that were coming to me. I want to leave Fisher House a bequest in my will. I want to do some sort of planned gift to Fisher House, time of my death. And it was, not only organizing that in a way of letting me know where we were at, what kind of revenue we could be looking at in the future, but also stewarding those, after they've made that initial commitment. I mean, plan giving is something that was kind of unique and new to us as an organization, just because our board for so long based, everything on cash is king. And I'm sure a lot of the people on this call know exactly what I'm talking about, whereas with something like a planned gift or a bequest, you're not seeing that money possibly until 5, 10, 25, 40 years down the road from the initial contact with that person. But you do want to organize it. You do want to keep track of it. And knowing that, in this case, you're only going to know about 33% of any of the bequests you get for an organization. That's about the statistics that, I've heard over, different plan giving workshops over the years. And so just, for those 33%, making sure you're giving them the best user experience, the best, relationship with your foundation, to make sure that, ultimately they don't change the will and don't let you know, and you can count on this revenue stream in the future.
Right. So what we're going to be looking at here is where Andrew's used, the way that Andrew's using it, which, as he said, he's basically stewarding somebody who's expressed interest. For those of you who are actually out there prospecting, you need to create a process for being in touch with somebody and then convincing them why they want to give to your organization even before that early stage before where Andrew is, you can also manage that in CharityEngine, and we can talk about that and answer questions around that. But this really shows simplification. Now, prior to CharityEngine, how were you managing somebody who came in as a major?
Sure. In our last CRM, the best thing I could do was basically put, a tag in, tag them as this is a future estate donor. And, it worked for a time, but as, more people become part of that, tagged group, and now it's, you'd pull up everyone who's got that tag, and now you need to remember in your head what these 50 people, each one very unique, and each one may have different, requests. A lot of the people I talk to, honestly, I've talked to you once, I'm leaving you in the will, I don't want to be bothered, I don't want to be added to a mailing list, don't call me in the future. I want to see a magazine once a year, just letting me know that you guys are still in operation and doing the right work, and your, charitable ratings haven't, fallen off the map.
Right.
That's all I want from you. And it's a good way to know, okay, this is someone I don't need to steward. I don't need to check in once a quarter and just make sure everything's happy, where other people are. Some people want to, create a planned gift that, the bulk of it's going to come when they pass away, but they may start making smaller donations each year now.
Right.
And that's something you want to remind, hey, before the year's up, you need to get this donation in for your tax purposes. And they appreciate that, and they expect that and want that.
Right.
And
there's a lot more there than just identifying somebody with a tag of major gift. There's a lot of that. So the way that what we see here, the screen you're looking at is Fisher House's Foundation's website. So there's a couple ways people decide that they want to make a gift like this. The first is they're going to probably look at your contact us, and they may just call. Mm-hmm. And I think that's got to be a way you're getting some if people call you out of the blue.
Absolutely. I feel like the calls out of the blue at this point are usually lawyers working on behalf of a client who's already gone to them. Hey, I want to donate to Fisher House Foundation when you're setting up my will. And, this is the quickest way for them to find us. But if you go to the Ways to Give page, there's a whole bequest section that brings up an actual form I've created in CharityEngine that people, fill it out. And so right away, I have the contact records created. I have a easy, using the transaction tool, I can quickly pull up anyone who's donated using this form and see all of them. And immediately, I don't have to worry about finding their phone number or email address. They've provided it for me. And that can, eliminate the initial, all the research that goes behind it. And now it's, I'm going to phone call or send you an email and touch base and see what you're thinking.
Right. And we'll show an example of that form in CharityEngine and how they're filling this out. But by virtue of them filling this out, you're also getting important data that you want to tag them as a planned giver or put them in that grouping or on a list. So you'll be able to see where that kind of functionality can happen. So that's one of the great things about having a form like this. Andrew's getting the data in. They're basically entering the data into CharityEngine for him for those who do it by online. And if they call, he goes directly in and creates the contact record. But from there, we're going to build the opportunity. Mm-hmm. So
actually, one other thing just to bring up, it's also with any form that you all know, when something's online, it's a smaller subset of contacts I need to go in and correct and make sure they're in the standard format you want to see them, instead of having to pull like your entire database and cleaning up, hey, this person typed all in caps, or this person typed their last name all lowercase, just things like that. It makes it easier to subset.
So again, what we're looking at is a process. In Andrew's case, someone expresses interest in a major planned gift, and then Fisher House Foundation receives the gift. Some of you are looking at a little bit of a longer path where you're looking to find someone with potential interest in a major planned gift. And then probably in your case, Fisher House Foundation won't receive the gift, your organization will. But you'll want to be able to manage that, and you certainly can.
And that's one of the things here, we're talking specifically about how I'm using this tool, but it is one of the most flexible tools within CharityEngine. So definitely, whatever you're trying to accomplish, this is one you can easily manipulate and create to fit, your needs, which is not always the case in CharityEngine. So if you have questions, send them in. We're happy to answer anything that's outside of how I'm using it for this one process.
Absolutely. So your goal in this case is to manage and report on process. Prior solution was tagged an individual as a major gift prospect, and that's all he had. But now we look at, this is a screenshot of an opportunity and an individual, and you can see right here the data that Andrew has at his fingertips for sorting purposes and tabulation purposes. We can see we've got the opportunity ID all the way on the left, the name of the person, any solicitors, so Andrew would be on that, but there might be multiple solicitors connected to it. Primary contact, but there might be multiple contacts, especially if this is from an estate, because it might be the name of the individual whose estate it is, but again, you're dealing probably with a lawyer at that point, who's your primary contact.
But then also, what I really like about this, and I can't overstate enough, is it allows you to also, if you have multiple family members attached to that estate, where it's the nephew or the son or the brother, and you want to keep them connected to your foundation after, maybe it was the uncle that was the driving force of driving the family towards your foundation, knowing that they're all connected to this estate that was, so valuable to your organization, and, making sure that you're stewarding them, even if they're not necessarily donors now, maybe you can convince them one day to also leave a small bequest to Fisher House in the end, or your organization.
Exactly. So, and we see what step they're at. In this case, it's they signed a planned giving letter. We see how many activities that have been, so that can be phone calls, emails, sending mail. Close probability, you have the choice to establish in your process what you consider close probability, which affects what you see in the next column, weighted value. But in this case, we have a gift of $130,000. That's the value. It's been assigned. And if you look at the top filters, you can see I can search by things like the type of track they're on, the stage they're on, priority, and then the date set. So setting up opportunities. This is probably the most important thing to understand. What we saw there was the opportunity that exists which is in the contacts opportunity section. But opportunities are set up in the automation and workflow section. And so when you click on opportunities in automation and workflow, you'll see basically 5 menu items: stages, tracks, steps, types, and priorities. So we're going to take a quick look at understanding what those are, because there's a hierarchy that you need to understand. And just so you know, after this, we'll have a Q&A, but also I'm happy to send you this document. You'll see my email at the end of it, and I'm happy to send you this document so you can get a sense of how this is presented. So the type would be your general category. In Andrew's case, planned gift. Maybe you want to make gifts, you want to make it a general thing, or you can get specific, but a type is a general gift. And then a track might be something more specific, from gift type to track planned gift. You don't have to do that. You could have a repeat of very general ways of looking at things: general gift, general gift. Then stages. Stages are a high-level phase of the process. Steps are a granular phase of the process, so there are steps within stages. And then priorities is really rating your focus: a high priority, medium priority, or low priority. All that is configurable by you. And then the other thing you're going to want to make sure is you have the right activities, which are different actions throughout the process. Sending an email, making a phone call. In Andrew's case, we'll see things like giving a tour of a Fisher House. Those would be activities that would fall in. So we're going to want to make sure we're creating those. In this slide, I took the same information and just kind of visualized the hierarchy. So again, types is the highest level. Tracks is within types. Stages are within tracks. Steps are within stages. Priority is sort of a general thing. And then activities are within steps. So we'll take a quick look at Andrew's solution of how he set up his planned gift. So first we see his type, planned gift. Track, he also calls planned gift. So no differentiation there.
But we're looking at one type right now. Other types that you may have, it may be corporate gift, it may be a large gift, it may be something, a reoccurring gift, or someone you're trying to move from a one-time Christmas time gift to, I want them to become a monthly donor at, $10 a month. So their overall gift in the year is 120 as opposed to the 100. That's why for this track, it's the same, but when you go to corporate giving, it may be someone that's looking for some sort of cause marketing solution versus someone just looking for a corporate tax write-off. And that may be a different track you'd see there.
Yeah, it's a matter of how many tracks you want to build. Again, work with your our client services team to get an idea of what's the best way. There's a lot of flexibility and configurability, and you just have to make it match to what's important to you. So here you see the stages Andrew set up, donor and prospect. And he has those as two different stages because some people who he's working with are existing donors. So he wanted to be able to mark those, whereas prospects, maybe people are coming in clearly new. Once he's moved from there and he's been communicating with them, that's at initial outreach, which is a third stage. Once all of that has taken place, they're on board, they're making gifts, it goes to stewardship. So he's stewarding the relationship. And then planned gift is your final stage. And that tells you that they are now at the planned gift stage.
Yes, whatever that may be.
Right. Here are the steps that Andrew created within these stages: mail info packet, follow-up phone call, tour of Fisher House, signed planned giving letter, disbursement, which means the money has gone, is coming
starting to come in.
It may not be fully in, and that's why he has that stage of disbursement. And then completed means it's complete and the gift is completely done. So you may have your own types of stages. Steps. This is what Andrew has created for himself.
Well, and that's something else to bear in mind. It's not just for myself, it's for my team as well, which is why the stages I think is so important, because I can label one as donor versus a prospect and, assign those to different staff members under me to, hey, you reach out to the donors, you reach out to the prospects based on the skills, the phone skills of whoever I'm assigning it to. And then they bring me in more for the stewardship piece after the initial outreach is done. Exactly. But yeah, for us, especially with planned giving, where it is such a fluid thing, where everyone's got different goals in mind with their gift and ultimately their legacy, this is kind of a good barometer for us to tell us where we're at in that process.
Exactly. Now, priorities, Andrew hasn't put any kind of priorities in his, so we've left that as rating a focus. It's up to you if you want to. And then his activities. So you probably have your existing activities throughout CharityEngine that you've created for different activity purposes. Here he made sure to include mail sent, phone call, tour of Fisher House, signed document, and undefined activity. And it's important to create the activities that you need to align with your steps, because when you create a step, it's going to say what is the activity normally associated with this step. So it automates that process. You can then go back once it's done and then actually change the activity type. If that step normally calls for a tour of Fisher House, but instead he went right to undefined activity or signed document, he can go in and then change that. But those are the default activities associated with a step.
And yeah, and those are for us the most basic ones, but the real beauty of this is you can create a new activity at any point. I mean, I do it all the time where someone attended a groundbreaking of an event, or someone attended a fundraiser for a third party and you find out about it. Those activities you want to track as well. Those are just the basic ones that we find, most commonly used.
Yeah. So here is my email, lee.kessler@charityengine.net. If you'd like a copy of this, just send me an email and I'd be happy to send you a PDF of what you saw before, which will give you a little bit of information to help guide you. Also want to remind everybody on the call, especially those who are existing clients, that tomorrow is our new release webinar. Tomorrow is our new release. So when you log into CharityEngine in the morning, you will see new features and functions. Look for an email tomorrow morning that will show you what all that means, as well as the splash page, and then join us for a webinar tomorrow at 1 p.m. And you'll be able to sign up from that webinar tomorrow when you log in. So keep that in mind. So we're going to jump out of our presentation, and now we're going to go
Actually, I just want to say too, also, if you want to talk to me, I'm happy to do it. I just didn't, there was a lot of people on this webinar and I didn't want to be barraged, but if you got questions for me, please reach out to Lee. He'll forward them on to me and I'll be happy to, work with you in any way you might need.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask at any time. Happy to answer everything. So let's take a look at a couple things where we set up the actual, the workflow was in automation and workflow. So I'm going to open up that for you. Okay, and we've got our stages, tracks, steps, types, and more. And so remember, so when Andrew created these things, the first thing he did was create a type. So in this case, we created a type called FHF sample plan giving. So you're going to create your type that way. It's very easy to do. The next thing you're going to do is create your track. So a track is the track you're following within that type. And again, here we have FHF sample plan giving, which is part of the same named type. These are two different things, a track and a type, but we've named them the same thing for ease of use. Okay, next is our creating our stages. So our stages, we're going to create within our tracks, and very easy to do. We go to create new, name it, give it a probability, you don't have to, and then a description. And then lastly is going to be our steps. And here we have all of our steps, and to create a new one, we go here, and we're going to name it, we're going to tie it to the track, we're going to tie it to the stage that this step will be part of, and then an activity that would be part of it. So we choose the default activity. Maybe that's always comes with signed document, so we select that activity, and again, we should do probably packet. Or mail a packet, exactly. Whatever the default custom normal thing of doing is. All right, so let's take a look now at our actual opportunity. We go in here, it's in the green section. So here we have our opportunity. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. Okay. And so we have the name, the solicitor, so forth. And let me show you some of the great things that are in here. We have our contact. Here is our activities. And just by clicking on this, it's going to show us all of the activities related to this. In this case, by the way, Charles Harrison is actually, imagine that was Andrew. But he's got a process here. You see initial phone call with Ron, checking with Dave Coker about scholarships. So that is an activity that falls within it. It's tied into an opportunity. It's tied into a step. All of this is reportable on.
And you can also put notes to the call if you click the manage button within, and you'll have a full, I don't know if on the demo version, yeah, the description didn't go there, but the whole checking with Dave and what it was about was in regards to a very specific, almost an endowment type thing he was trying to set up.
Yep. We've got our follow-up calls, and if you're using Microsoft, our Outlook Integrator tool, which you should be, and if you aren't yet, you may want to be sure to set that up. This automatically ties Andrew's email communications directly into the activities. So in this case, the location is Microsoft Outlook. The follow-up email to follow up our phone call, the opportunity. And when we go into this, we can actually see who this communication was with. And then under notes, we see the actual content of the email. So be sure if you're using opportunities to take advantage of our Outlook integrator. And if you're not already, please speak with client services about how you can set that up. So he's got all of his activities, and that's why you can be general with your steps. Don't feel the need to make sure that your steps are every little thing like phone call, email, because those are really activities within stages and steps. So important to think about. Once this is, and we've got notes, we've got files. So in this case, his agreement letter, it was been uploaded on the opportunity. But conversions. So once this is successful, okay, and we see here the first thing on this transaction is the original. We've tied the original transaction, which was him filling out the form, into the transaction, and I'll show you where that is. Very simple. And you see it takes us to the blue transaction records. section, okay? Sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. So that shows that. And I want to show you the form that was created, which is this state information form. Okay, and that's in the form section. And we see here by viewing, we've created a form that people can fill out. And you see right here, very simple to do. And we've got our bequest information. And that way, all that data is already populating in. And in the forms under advanced, with data, this person is automatically being sent to newsletter recipients. They don't have to, you can choose to. And then CRM tag, we've tagged them as a planned gift person. So just by virtue of them filling out this form, we're attributing information to the individual. Okay, so let's go back to, okay, our opportunity. So we've got the transaction. And if this was a single transaction after this phone call, the person gave Andrew a large check, they would just go ahead and we would create a new transaction just like this, and I'll open that. And that is just like everything else. I go in and I create the transaction, and it's going to tie it into the opportunity here, opportunity 26-7, okay? Or in this case, a pledge was made. So now we've gone ahead and created a pledge, and we see now that we have this pledge for an amount of $130,000 is the total pledge that Ron Miller has given. It's by, the primary method is going to be by check. This is active. There are auto installments. There are 4 installments that have been done so far. We see so far $4,000 has been collected with an outstanding amount of $126,000. We see the next installment is, these are every 6 months. So 10/14/2017, and we can manage it. We can also go directly into the pledge right here. And now we see the pledge, okay? And this is a planned gift, again, $130,000, fully tax deductible. So far, we've collected $4,000. There's been, the next installment shows here. And now we see all this information tied in. We see our contact with the contact information. The schedule, this is bi-yearly, started on 4/13, gift of $2,000 is the amount. It could be set up for manual or auto. Payment information, again, primarily check. If there's attribution connected to it, so this pledge was, this is the solicitor ID number, the response channel that came in online, and then the opportunity, again, tied here. And if you have custom fields, you can have those connected to it as well. And then we go to installments. So these are our installments that have been set up. And we see collected amounts. Collecting amounts means it hasn't been collected on there. So collected tells us that we have the money. Pending means it's in some sort of state of not yet there. And then we look at we can create new installments. And then we look at our payments. And we can see that $2,000 was paid an offline action by check. $2,000 was paid by check on this date, so on 4/14, and then also the original on 10/19. So this way, Andrew is managing individual gifts that are coming in over time. As he said, sometimes they come in and trickle. It's not just a big gift. So we've got that managed, but we also can look at this entire thing from a high-level value of what is this total pledge worth. So hopefully that gives a little bit of an idea of how everything here in CharityEngine can tie together. So we'll go back to our contact. Oh, sorry, I meant to go to opportunities. And so again, we have our opportunity. The person came in through the form that was filled out, which was, sorry, this form, or Andrew entered the information on the back end when they called. Once that was confirmed and a pledge started, or the stewardship of a pledge, we went to opportunities, and you can create a new opportunity. Here we see where we were, and we see currently is a signed a plan giving letter. and then once it went into transactions, conversions, we now have the pledge, and it's all of this is tied together for reporting purposes and whatnot. So if there are any questions, feel free to type them into the webinar panel, and we'll stay on a little bit to answer. Hopefully we've done a good job of explaining it. Again, send me an email if you'd like me to send you a copy of this. We're also going to post this on our YouTube channel, and I will send that link to everybody so you can watch it again or share it with your team. But hopefully this gives you an idea of how somebody like Andrew was able to configure based on his needs and really manage the whole process.
Yeah, and just some of the stuff they didn't show, but just when you click in here, you can also leave yourself reportable notes. I can't. Oh, is this not the contact?
No, that's
Just get back to it the right way. But to understand, exactly, what is happening in there, and then also report on it. One of the things I have is one of those weekly, query builder reports that are automatically emailed to me. And the first thing is, basically going to show me all active planned gifts, the name of the campaign, and it's going to have the description. So I know right away, what is happening. This is just kind of, for me, a high-level overview of where we're at with each one of my, planned gifts. In this case, this is a guy, very specific bequest, what he started doing and how, and, where we're at as far as, signed the planned giving letter, and, you can see that here where it has that. I'm not big on notes so much as overviews, and then with each activity, one of the things I have on my report is the most recent activity, and then any description of that activity. So I may see, Ron Miller and this whole blurb of what's going on with it, and then most recent activity, had a phone call with him, and then the description is all the notes from that phone call.
And actually, Andrew, thank you, because I almost missed a valuable part of our demonstration here, which is being able to report on it. Obviously, you can report on it, you can set up queries. And by the way, tomorrow you'll see a new release of our new query tool, which has made building queries incredibly easy. So be sure to make sure you're part of that webinar, or at least read the notes. But when we look at all of our opportunities, we can create reports using Report Builder, and that's what I've done right here. So I click here, and we can create a report. I've already created one, so I'll show you, which is Opportunities Report FHF Planned Gifts. Okay, and so you use the query, the Report Builder tool, and now I've said I've got this report, opportunity name, primary, and all this information. I can actually schedule this out to myself, so I can have it start tomorrow, and I can send this every day, and then it's going to be sent to me, and go ahead and save that, and it will be delivered to my inbox. But just to show you what you've got here, we'll go ahead and we'll export it, download the file. Excuse me while I toggle between things here. And now we've got our report. Go ahead and make it larger. And this is what it's really all about, is being able to review your data and see where you are and everything.
And it's also a lot better when you have, it's not just your, test environment, and you have more than one to see in a report.
Right. That's often more important. Hold on one second to make it a little bit more visible for everybody.
And just do word wrap.
Yeah, well, for some reason, if you don't get it at the beginning, it doesn't do it right. There we go. Okay, so now in our report, using those fields, I've got my opportunity name, my primary contact, the description, the opportunity ID, the primary ID, so that's Ron Miller's ID, and the step he's at, which is sign a plan giving letter, the title of that activity, Ron made an initial $1,000 donation, Activity status is scheduled. The activity date, so that's actually, I should move that to completed. That is lack on my part. If there's any notes to the activity, I've got that there. And then at the activity name, which is the activity type, which is signed document. So that's the great thing, is using the report builder, you can report on all your data, see where you are on all of your different sections. So it looks like we don't have any questions, and very often on webinars, people will make fake questions. I did not do that, so there are no fake questions. Hopefully this gives you a great idea, but we're here to help you use it. Please reach out to me, as I said. Hold on one sec, so I can make sure that you have my information. Okay. Again, lee.kessler@charityengine.net. Feel free to send me an email with any questions if you'd like a copy of this, or I can forward things on to Andrew and get responses for you. But we are here to help you make opportunities successful for you. Andrew, I thank you. Any last advice for anybody who's getting started in working in opportunities?
Yeah, just play around with it. If you have a sense of what you're trying to accomplish, it certainly makes it easier, but experiment with it, figure out what works for you as an organization. This is not one of those cookie cutter things that, every organization is going to do it differently. And it's not just play on giving, you can, set up one where if you just want your reoccurring, I want to grab all my donors and try to make them reoccurring donors and set up a whole workflow of I'm going to send in an initial email and I'm going to have a follow-up email and maybe a piece of direct mail and, then a second level phone call, really putting pressure on. Whatever you are looking to accomplish, you can organize using opportunities. So have fun with it and experiment.
Yeah, and start simple. I think that's one of the most important things. Start with a simple process. Don't try to build out the world's greatest moves management platform. Start simple. What do you think about? What am I going to be able to want to report on? What are the stages, names of stages, so I can manage my team better? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andrew, Kayton, and everybody at Fisher House Foundation for being part of Charity Engine. And we look forward to seeing you guys on our next webinar. Don't forget, tomorrow, new release webinar with amazing new stuff. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.